Hello, all you fabulous females out there. This is Louise Fennell coming to you from mmtv in Melrose. And my guest today is Andrea Iriarte.
Iriarte.
Iriarte. Okay. And I'm going to let her tell you all about her. The thing I know about her is that she owns Molly's Bookstore, a fabulous bookstore right here on Main Street in Melrose. Andrea?
So I was born in Guatemala City, in Guatemala, and I lived there for a long time in my life where I practiced as a human rights attorney. And then I came to the U.S. with my two kids. Their names are Javier and Martina. And I lived in Florida for a while where I met my current husband, Brett. And we moved up here for his work with our daughter, Emma. So now it's the three of us, three kids, and Brett and I. And after a very hectic career, we decided that that had been enough of that.
And how did you come up with a bookstore?
So my whole life, I've been a person who loves to travel. And when I travel, I always like to visit all of the independent bookstores in the places where I travel to. And I usually map it out and try to hit as many of them as I can. And I always think about what I like about them and which ones feel more magical and what it is that makes them feel magical, in which ones I feel more welcome, which ones make me want to stay, which ones don't have that feel to it. And so I had been thinking about this for a very, very long time. And when I decided it was time to make a career switch and go chase my dreams, I decided I wanted to open a bookstore because I've always loved reading. And, a lot of people say I love reading. No, I really love reading.
I know what that's like.
And even, like all of my pictures, whenever you look at pictures of me when I was little, most kids are playing. I'm usually sitting there with a book.
I have one of those of myself.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it made sense to me. And so when I started envisioning what I wanted my bookstore to look like, I took a little bit of everything that I had loved about all of the bookstores that I had visited and put it together. And I knew that I wanted it to be a place where people would feel welcome and comfortable and safe. Mm-hmm. A place where you would come in and sit down and spend hours just reading and just chatting and where you would feel at home.
I know what you're talking about. I love those bookstores. Yes. Uh-huh. I used to go, at least 2-3 times a week to a bookstore and just sit down and read. And it's a wonderful, cozy feeling. That's the thing I want in bookstores. And I felt that when I came to yours.
Thank you. I do feel that during COVID, a lot of the bookstores had to take that away because you couldn't have those spaces.
Right.
And rents are so expensive that a lot of bookstores have taken those cozy spaces because you have to every single square meter counts in sales. But I really thought it was very important to keep those because that's what I had envisioned. That was part of my dream.
Yeah. And you do a whole lot of other things with the bookstore that are so charming. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of those?
We do so many events, but it is, maybe it's because the Latino in me, but I grew up just having parties all the time. That is that's something I know how to do. I know how to have invitations, how to have parties, how to receive people and entertain. It's just part of what you do. And people ask me, so you must be really social. And I'm like, not really.
Wow. Surprise.
Right, but you're socialized to do it, And it does recharge my batteries, making people feel welcome and happy really does recharge my batteries. And so having all of those events and you see all of the kids being so happy with everything, or when we had a mystery murder night and everybody had so much fun at it, and you see everybody show up dressed up and how everybody put in all this effort to show up.
Oh,
It really,
yeah. Did you actually like do murder mystery?
So one of my associates, she wrote the whole murder mystery. We created little cards for each of the characters. We created like a murder scene and the whole thing, and then we transformed the whole store to look like the Roaring Twenties, and
Oh,
it looked wonderful. And everybody had so much fun trying to guess who had been the murderer, and it was a lot of fun.
oh, wow. Oh, it sounds like fun. Yeah. And what kind of other things? Do you have book like, does someone come in and read to children?
We do have story time every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. and we have a lot of little kids show up. It depends on the time of year because now that all of the older kids are in school, our audience is younger.
Sure. Yeah.
We have adapted a little bit because before we used to do longer picture books.
Oh, yeah.
And what we read was a little bit different. The message was a little bit different. Now we do 2 or 3 board books because we have little kids, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So you're just entertaining the little kids and their mothers or caretakers.
Oh, yeah. It just occurred to me, I have a kind of a book that I don't quite understand. It's adult books, but it's like, well, the name of the one was Mouse, Maus. So they
novel?
seem like serious comic book.
Like graphic novels, there's a lot of those now.
I couldn't think of the word.
Yes. So Mouse was kind of a trendsetter. Was one of the first ones, but there's a lot of those now. And you can get them for younger kids. You can get middle readers. You can get young adult, and you can get adult ones. Some of the young adult ones are very serious in what they deal with. In the middle grade ones, they present some serious topics, but they do so in such a wonderful way that children don't even know what they're dealing with. And the illustrators do such a magnificent job in showing feelings and emotions. And you know, in 4 frames, they have shown such a varied amount of feeling in the characters. And it is very important, particularly for this generation, because this is like what I would call the masked generation. And they did not grow up knowing what feelings look like because they didn't see it in their peers. And now they go and see it in a graphic novel and they understand, oh, so when someone is angry, their face looks like this. When they're sad, their face looks like that. And so graphic novels are, I find, very, very important in teaching them about feelings and what they look like.
Oh, wow.
So I'm a big proponent of graphic novels.
Oh, good. Do you have any suggestions, say, for me? I've never read one. I used to work in a school, so I saw Mouse. I had to make copies of Mouse for one of the teachers. And I had never seen anything like that. But that seemed like awfully serious to me. Yeah.
It's sad.
But is there something
Joyous?
like lighter, happier? Yeah. Beach reading.
I particularly enjoy Mexicid. That was my favorite book this year. It is the story about this family, and half of the family is born in Mexico, and the older kids are born in Mexico, the younger kids are born in the U.S. So you have this juxtaposition of kids that no longer remember what it's like to be Mexican, and the older ones that are very Mexican, and what it's like to navigate that identity. And now they have to go pick up the grandfather because the grandmother has died and he's by himself. He has to take care of all this enormous land and the animals and everything. So it's time to go pick up the grandfather. And it's all about the trip that they take down there and how they meet all of their cousins and how different it is. But it's so funny. It is such a funny book.
Oh, great.
I loved it. And we read it for my book club, for the Molly's Minis book club. That is for kids 8 to 12. And every single one of my kids loved it. And they came like, oh, and that part. And everybody had a different favorite part. And they all loved it. I haven't received a single bad review for that book. Everybody loved it.
Oh, good. And you just brought up something, and you have an adult book club at your store in addition to other book clubs?
We have 4 adult book clubs, 1 YA and 1 kids book club.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh.
we have something for everybody.
Yeah. And how often does it meet?
Once a month.
Once a month. That's not bad. Okay. And you have some sort of newsletter or something that...
Yes. So
That's
you can
everybody.
find most of the information on Instagram. That's the fastest way to find it. But we also have a newsletter, and that one goes out every week. But yeah, you can find all the information or on our website.
Okay. And that's where you would sign up
Yeah.
for these things.
Yes.
Okay, great. And how did you decide on the location, for instance, and how to get it going, and what sort of books to buy, and all that sort of thing?
Okay. The location was pure luck because we had been looking for a while and there was actually nothing available. There's not a lot of retail space available in Melrose, and I did want it in Melrose.
Okay.
And so when this location became available, we just jumped on the opportunity and decided, okay,
Uh-huh.
so this is it. So it's not like,
okay.
we were dreaming of this location. No, it's just what became available. And so we jumped on the opportunity, which is kind of, it's not ideal because we're surrounded by services. We don't have any more retail around us.
Oh, okay.
So I would be happier in a place where there's more retail.
Yeah.
So, for example, when we participate in things that are Main Street, people would have to walk along, while to get to us.
I know.
We're kind of far away.
I've walked there. It is my destination. It was one of my, as I was doing progressively longer walks, that was one of my destinations.
We are separate from the rest of Main Street, so that is not ideal.
Yeah.
But now it's when we designed the whole thing, we designed it with that location in mind, so it fits perfectly because that's what we designed. When I think about how to curate my collection, I am very, very particular. I have so the publishing world is very, very particular. They do send you out advanced reader copies, so you can curate your selection. And I work really, really hard because I read most of what they send me to know what I want to carry and what I don't.
Uh-huh.
And I make my team so we don't all like the same things, which is great because then I have different people read different things and they tell me, no, this one's terrible. Or this one is great. We should definitely carry this.
Uh-huh.
And so what goes on our shelves are things that I know are good. So I don't carry anything. And then I don't carry anything that is too depressing. So
Okay. Yeah.
if people want it, I will definitely order it for you.
Yeah.
But there's only a certain amount of space that I have on the shelves.
Sure.
So I feel that my job is to bring joy. So that's what I carry.
Uh-huh.
So I do have the important books and I do have the classics and I have all of that.
Uh-huh.
But if you're going to give me 10 books of kids who are going through terrible depression and
Yeah.
I'll carry 1 or 2, but not the 10,
Yeah.
I'd rather carry books that are going to uplift the kids and are going to make them want to read. I'd rather have those.
Ah, good. That's great. Yeah. And you had a book signing recently. It was a book that I had just finished reading, actually, and I wanted to go and couldn't get there. But do you often have book signings?
Yes, in the month of November, we're having one every Saturday, and we're having one on the Tuesday of the week of Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh. Okay. And are they all adult books or varied?
All of the Saturday ones are for kids. It is interesting, but I guess I didn't mean for this to happen, but the publishing world knows me more as a children's bookstore. And so authors and the publishing world knows me as that. So that's who they send me.
Okay.
I guess my Instagram account and all of my publicity looks I don't know. So that's what they send me.
Yeah. No, I was interested in that because I used to live in Danvers, and so there were a couple of well, they were the bigger bookstores, though, but a couple of them. I spent a lot of time there, and since I've moved to Melrose, I hadn't really found a bookstore. I love just the smell of books, the feel of the whole place, and sitting down in a comfortable chair. I just love the feeling of being in a bookstore. And you're fulfilling that for me, which is wonderful, and giving me my exercise by walking there, which is great. So our time is almost up. And I usually like to finish with asking you if there's anything I have not thought to ask you that you want to tell people. And make sure you get in your address and how to reach you before we say.
So I don't know, because like the thing is, like, I talk to people all day about my bookstore,
good.
so I feel like, you know,
Yeah.
like I do feel that I am in a very privileged position where we are, because I see so many people go by the store all the time. So I get people one-on-one, and I am able to welcome them into our town and to let them know everything that is going on. And I find that this is such a wonderful community, and we have so many wonderful things going on, like all of the arts, and we have the farmers market, and we have the schools, and we have so many things going on. And so I make a conscious effort of staying involved in everything, because like when people come to me and I'm like, I just moved here. Oh, wonderful. So let me tell you, have you tried this? Have you tried that? You know, so I really make an effort to be that welcoming community of one.
Wonderful.
And so I feel that that's also a very important part of the bookstore. You know, we are really that community space.
Great.
And so it's not just about the books, and it's just we are a community space. And I think that is what is the most important thing, because like if we went away, you could just order your books over Amazon, or you could do, but you have no idea the amount of kids that on their way from school home stop by and do homework on us. Or the amount of grandparents who drop their kids off at Follow Your Arts and come make time with me, and then we have tea together. Or
good.
people who are going to go visit the doctor, or just came back from the doctor and come and tell me everything that is going on. Or people who went to visit a loved one at the hospital and then come and tell me everything about it. And I am that place. And it's such a privileged position, you know, to be able to receive all of these stories and to be able to provide all these people with that safe space. And that was something that I hadn't. I had envisioned the comfy space to read and whatever, but I didn't know how important as a person it would be to be able to create space for all these people and their need. And that I'm really grateful for.
Great. And let's make sure you get in the address.
Oh, yes. Okay. So
and the phone number.
Oh, my God. I don't know the phone number.
Oh, well, that's okay. They can look on your website.
Modest Bookstore is located at the tail end of Main Street. We are 667 and 669 on Main Street. You can follow us on Instagram at Modest Bookstore MA. We're also on Facebook. We do have a website. It's modestbookstore.com. And yeah, please do join our newsletter too.
Oh, great. Okay, good. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot.
Thank you for having me.
And I've really enjoyed talking to you, and for all of you out there, I hope you'll come and visit Molly's Bookstore and make it a steady companion for you. And this is Louise Fennell wishing you a good evening, and come back and listen to the podcast again, too. Goodbye.